I am Ana Megia. I'm Spanish. I've been working on engineering for like 10 or 12 years now. And I ended up at CERN after my PhD, working on the commission of the ion source for the new anti-proton decelerator, ELENA. And I spent there a little bit more than a year. I really enjoyed it a lot. One thing that I loved a lot is that it's something that requires a lot of people from different fields. So then when you go back, you finally find a lot of friends there that you have been connected to, and it's really nice, of course, to come back. Basically luck. I like building stuff. So even if I've been for some years working more on science itself, it's true that I like the whole process of building something to measure whatever we are trying to see, and then building the experiment, arranging it, and then measuring and finally publishing some results. The area that I really like is from the first meeting of, guys, let's do this, to the moment when you turn it on and it's working. I think the first impression is that it's huge, because finally you arrive there, and then to sign your contract there is a number. Usually you pick a number like for shopping, and then you wait there, and then someone told me, now you follow the line on the floor. Yeah, so I was following like a black line, but at some point there was no more black line, so I was like, okay, I've been 10 minutes in here and I'm already lost. So I think one of the things that I really love about CERN is the fact that a lot of people is there for a period. So they are really open to whatever you want to do. There is a sailing club, there are clubs for a lot of activities, and people is really, really open to make friends, to make collaborations, so that's one of the best things that I found there. I think the fact of working with a lot of people, because before I had been in charge of my own things, like my work is this design or that design, but there was other people like in the coordination of what we were doing. But the ion source I was working on was the contribution of Jülich Forschungszentrum in Germany to this particular project. So the same week that I arrived, they sent a truck with the ion source. So the first thing was, how do I make a truck coming to CERN? Like, there will be some permit to do, paperwork. Then, like, the truck needs to arrive to the building, and there should be a crane to put it inside. And then there's gonna be a lot of people involved, because finally the ion source is going to connect to other things. So how to manage a lot of people together to come and bring a project, that was great. And also the fact that the people in charge of that particular ion source was from another country. We have like, they are gonna come this week, this other week, and this other week. And in the meantime, we have to have everything arranged in there. So I think this coordination would have been something that I have not acquired in here. I think in most places there is a long path to have some responsibility on a machine like an ion source. Like, there is always going to be a lot of people before you. But at CERN there is a lot of movement of people. So you arrive there and they trust you. Like, okay, this is your ion source. You can ask for help anytime you need. You're gonna find someone that knows what you need to know. But for the rest, you are free to try to. The difficult thing sometimes is to find the right person to ask, because someone has the answer, but the thing is who. So while I was at CERN, I discovered that there was a series of periodic talks for entrepreneurs and how to build a company and what can you do with the knowledge that you have. And I went to see one that was especially interesting, and it was the CEO of NeuronGuard. That was a company dedicated to a medical device. And I really like his talk, and then I started to think, well, can plasmas be a tool to create a company? CERN BIOTEC is a company dedicated to the design and construction of machines for the use of cold atmospheric plasmas for different topics. So the idea of using them for health is not ours. It has been around 20 years that has been researched, and mainly the plasmas that they use are plasmas made of argon and neon. So we wanted to use an air plasma because, according to bibliography, the value of the plasma in contact, for example, with wounds or with skin problems, relates to the amount of reactive oxygen and nitrogen species that are present on the plasma. So our first prototype was a DVD plasma, where the plasma is formed between an electrode and your skin. So then we decided that we wanted to build a jet of cold atmospheric plasma, and that was the big challenge. So there are other jets that are done of neon or argon or even helium, but there is nothing with air in a very low temperature. Finally, we managed to do it, and we applied for a PCT patent that we have now, and that we are extending to another countries. So this, I really think, is a contribution to the state of the art that can make a big difference for people with this kind of illness. It has already been used in the veterinary field with great results. So we are very happy, because one of the things that worried us is how to test it. But then we discovered that there is a whole amount of pets with chronic wounds, and it's a big suffering for them. It's a suffering for the animal, but it's also a big suffering for the owner, because basically there is nothing that you can do. Plasma can kill even multi-resistant bacteria. Treating them with the plasma does not hurt. So you can touch it with your hand, and you feel basically warm air. So it's a very satisfying thing to do, to see an animal that has been suffering for 2 years finally heal in a treatment that is not aggressive. You are not hurting them, so you don't need anesthesia to do the treatment. So it has been really, really funny. We have the idea, I think, at the end of 2015, while I was there at CERN. Then we spent like the rest of that year for learning what was ahead. Then 2017 we built the first prototype and applied for this grant for the Spanish Ministry of Science. And then it took us a year to finally get the jet. And then we presented it in an international veterinary fair here in Madrid, and we won the prize for the most innovative product. But then there was the pandemic. So then basically everything stopped for 2020 and basically 2021 too. So I think it's now when we are going back. Meanwhile, we had an agreement with a very prestigious hospital here in Spain, which is the University of Navarra. They are in Pamplona, in Navarra, and they are famous for being a very good hospital, but they are also famous for being ahead of the science dedicated to medicine. In fact, they are the first one in Spain to have a particle accelerator for proton therapy here in Madrid. So we said, let's try. If we can find someone to listen to us there, it's probable that they are gonna like to join us in this trip, and they did. So now we are planning to do a clinical trial with them, and I hope that it's gonna start at the end of this year or the beginning of the next one. As technical people, we know nothing about business. So for us, it has been very hard, basically starting by learning the words. So anytime that we are in a meeting with investors or with our assessors and people giving us counsel, it's like, can you make a brief summary for me? Because it's too much. So I think the first lesson is try to find the right people. So everything is not possible that can be done by you, basically, because the amount of hours in the day, it's true that you can learn anything you need. With enough time and Google, you can learn whatever. The thing is that you have a limited amount of time and also a limited amount of energy. So for us has been a key to find the right people to become on board. So for example, we have an assessor or someone helping us in the matter of all the taxes, because taxes is also a word. Taxes, contracts for our employees, and then asking for help in the other fields that So now those are covering the business part. Then we have the doctors and the business people of University of Navarra helping us in that area too. So I think the power is on the team that you can collect, and it's not easy. It's because it's very difficult to judge the quality of the work of someone not working in your field, because in your field, if someone is, I know if someone is a good engineer by seeing their work, their design, the way of treating other people in the team. But how do I know if someone is really the right person in economics? And also, I think we don't pay enough attention to networking in general. Especially coming from the science field, because in science everything is basically for fun, not really for fun, but when you talk to people in a conference, when you discuss a matter with some colleagues at CERN, everything is collaboration, and you collaborate basically because you love it. And business is not like that. There is money involved in everything, and you don't have money when you are a startup. So then how to reach someone, how to reach a hospital and connect with the right person there that is gonna love the project, that is gonna get engaged, or things that seem easy, like, okay, let's give the machine to a veterinarian and ask him to try for a month or for 6 months and then give us their opinion. You, as a scientist, you would have taken like 100 notes about everything, use it every day, and then you can find that the guy forgot and has been with the machine there for 6 months, not using it, and for you, every month is your own money that is going there. So we need to pay more attention as technical people to the real world, which everything basically is related to money, and also to networking. Networking is more important that we think, and I think it's a common thing among engineers and scientists and physicists, like not to pay enough attention to the social networking. I think this is a network where I could feel better than in Instagram, and where I think that really the kind of people that I can help with this journey that we have, and the kind of people that can help us because they are ahead on that journey, it's gonna be there. And also it's gonna be people closer to our, mind wiring than in other networks. Yeah. Now we're arranging everything to start the clinical trial, because when you produce a machine for pets, basically you have to have the CE marking, and the CE marking requires that it's safe regarding the electricity and that is not producing electromagnetic waves that can affect other devices, or that it cannot be affected by other devices. And of course, you cannot harm the animals or the vets. But then for people, you need the agreement of the agency of your country, and this will then be translated to the European agents. So for that, you need to go through a medical trial. In a clinical trial, if it can be blind, it should be blind, but it cannot be blind regarding plasma because patients are going to see it. So then you compare people treated with this new idea and people treated with the best available on the market before. And basically there would be a doctor that will publish the partial results, and then if it's good enough, the agency will give you the permission to use it. So when they have the agreement and they finish the clinical trial, they will publish the results for the agency to see, and then the agency would say, okay, the device, it's okay if it's safe and if it does something real. So we think that this is going to take between 8 and 12 months, because you need to recruit the people and then you need to follow them to see the time for both types of patients. And let's see. The impact could be huge. This medical doctor was telling us yesterday that I think it's $75 billion the cost per year in the States of this kind of wounds. Really, it's not only, well, there is the pain for the people, the change in your life, because finally you have an open wound in your leg forever, and you treat it, and some days it's better, some days it's worse, but sometimes it's gonna be there basically forever. So there's an impact on you, on your family, but also there's an economic impact that for countries it's huge, and it's becoming higher, and it's a huge amount of money in a problem that has not been solved. So now there is not that we are going to produce a treatment that is better than others, it's that now there is no solution. In fact, I have already had some contact through our website of a man saying, you know, could you treat my grandmother? This is a measurement of how colonospheric plasmas are more present online. There is, if you look for plasma medicine online, books started around 2010. So there is a huge effort in the community to go in that particular direction. Some experts say that it's going to be a revolution like the one for lasers. So for many years, lasers were there on the lab, and now they are everywhere. There are lasers in surgery, lasers in the supermarket when they read the code, so they are everywhere. So it's expected that this technology can be a really breakthrough, especially in medicine. Because I think it gives you more, you believe more in yourself. Also because at CERN, you solve many things by your own. So you live the experience of being more on your own, not meaning that you are alone, but you are more in charge of something, and you need to ask for help and be surrounded by people, but finally you are in charge of something that I think CERN gave me this self-belief that I could really do whatever I wanted to design, to build. What they can, what we can share, I think, is the experience of the company. I think at some point I will also need some, because sometimes you need to ask a very specific technical question that is out of your field, and again, you can find it on Google, like searching a lot. But sure, it's gonna be someone there that has done this before, because every work at CERN is pretty weird. So when you come back and you say, what did you do? I've been working on the antimatter decelerator rig. It's like, first antimatter and then it's an accelerator and you go there to decelerate. So if you need something specific, they are gonna be there. and you don't feel so lonely. Because sometimes it's like, I'm doing that, I'm working on my work, I'm really on the weekends working in the company, so what's the point of working that much? So seeing that other people have the same issues, the same ups and sometimes down that you have, I think it helps a lot to make you this sense of community. If you look for investors, there are many, but it's important to find the right ones for you, because you're gonna make a long journey with them. You're gonna have hundreds of meetings, phone calls, whatever. So you need to find the right ones. And I think Alumni Network is gonna be the perfect place for our next round to find people that is looking for something like this particular project.